Look at that shirt, child.
Hello. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Oh, she ready. Okay.
Oh, you need a minute?
No, no, you got the tea or the coffee, you got the shirt. I'm out here in this Chicago weather, girl. It's 30-something degrees. I did my walk, but I was like, we can't talk with this this wind blowing. You wouldn't be able to hear me, and just tears coming down.
Yeah, my face is still red. Really cool.
Yeah, I'm literally like, if there's tears coming down, it's because of the walk. The tears
For sure.
from walking.
Yeah.
I wasn't sad crying. We wouldn't record. Seriously, listeners, I want to reiterate that if Suzie and I are adamant that if we're not feeling our best selves mentally, we won't record. So just noted. Yeah, it's wind blowing.
Cool. So we have some messages that came in that you wanted to address on today's chat.
Oh, good point. Yes, thank you for reminding me. Let me find the first one. Let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so the message says, this is an example of small things to me. I've asked for Bojangles for breakfast. For me, it's a treat, something brought maybe twice a year. I'm assuming he is the husband. He is leaving the house and says, okay, going to get breakfast. That's his only reason for leaving. So I'm excited. He goes to the bathroom and he comes back out and says, how about Huddle House or Hardee's? In my mind, I'm like, no, but I compromised in case it was due to everyone wanting breakfast. These were cheaper options. So I decided on something and say to him, well, what you gonna eat? He says, I'm just gonna eat McDonald's. Pause. Why? Well, I want McDonald's. I believe this is the sad face. But I gotta pass Hardee's to go to McDonald's. So if that's what you want, inside I'm screaming, no, I want you to drive to the other side of town and get my food, man. But I fold and I just say, get everyone McDonald's. But my heart hurts. And this is why feelings of not being liked come up. She says, sorry, just had to share. My response was, don't apologize. This can actually be a discussion we can have if you're up for it. This is an issue that I found to have in very similar matters to get what I need in the past. And I affirmed her to let her know I'm very proud of her for getting it out. And if I have time to respond, it's always good to get it out, even if nobody responds back, basically. Like, I believe that if you can't, because eventually, I don't know if Suzie and I'll be able to take all the comments and questions coming in, because they're coming in hot. So if that should happen and we don't get to you right away, like, I need you guys to still know that it's still avenues and ways of getting it out. Honestly, I use Facebook for a tool for me to get out, and I just post my issues privately. You can use a diary, you can use your notes in your phone, something to make sure that you still get these feelings out and get what's coming out of you, because that's one of the ways to rid the poison. Kind of in a group, what you guys are witnessing in the group is basically what my Facebook feed looks like, just mostly all private posts. Like, I probably post over 30 posts a day to myself just to keep myself going. And then I just encourage you guys with some of those things that I send to myself, so I can keep myself going. So that's just my tidbit that I want to add. I'm going to let you go first, Sue, and if that's okay, and I could chime in after.
I took some notes. So the thing that jumped out to me first, the situation in general, that she feels like she can't speak up about her preferences and her desires and like what she wants, period. So there's a lot there. The go to being compromised before you even present your side of the story, while that's common, I would ask, is it completely self-generated? Like, are you in the pattern of never doing that to the person who asked or brought this up? Or is it because he's always responding, like shutting her down? Because that would make a difference. But in general, I mean, even if someone's going to shut me down, I hope I would still speak my preference. And then if they're consistently shutting me down, I wouldn't probably continue a relationship with that person. But of course, that's a good question too. The thing was with that, so if it's not because of him, if it's because of you, then I would say there's, from my cultural perspective, right, like we're taught that if you're quiet, you're prettier, that you want to appease people, especially men, right? And so there's that, like, just do whatever he wants. And I think that's in general, the world is kind of like that, right? But so it's not fair to us. So if it's safe to mention your idea of what you want, then I mean, if you're not in that mental space though to be able to do it, it's tough. But okay, so that's what I'm noticing, is it sounds like you don't, if I was doing that, it feels like I just don't feel like my needs are important or that they care, which she already said that. So I just had some questions because I wanted to understand if it was because of what's going on inside of her that's like continuing this, like a snowball effect, or if it's because of the dynamic with that, or it could be carryover from dynamic with other people. So she just doesn't want to deal with it with this other situation, like getting breakfast, as small as that might seem. But in reality, when these things are bottled up in us, it's not small, right? And that's why she's avoiding it. Ding, 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 avoidance, the number one symptom of people like us. So yeah, without those questions answered, I didn't know if I wanted to go much further, but I would like to say, this is in one of the books I always recommend, the 4 agreements. One of the 4 agreements is don't make assumptions. So if you're just scared that they're not going to want to hear your opinion, or you're assuming that they're not going to want Bojangles to, or there's a, then go ahead and ask. Like, it never hurts to ask. So, there's no harm potential, unless, this is a very toxic person, that's another story. But like asking a question almost never triggers someone unless you're like, passive aggressive about it or something. So that was just my only take that I could make without all of the information.
Yes, that was fair enough. Seriously, I'm taking notes while you're talking too. Actually, I was like, yes, avoidance. So,
Yeah.
this question kind of goes in topic with a Facebook post that I posted earlier too. So in a second, I'm gonna pull that up because I think we should put those both in conjunction with each other. Actually 2 Facebook posts I want to talk about that we went through. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right, that we run from avoidance and from fear of being told no. And what we have to understand is people do have the right to say no. They do have the right to not want to do that, to do whatever it is that we want them to do. That's why we have to learn how to love ourselves first. Because when we love ourselves first, then we give the grace and the space for people, meaning our spouses, our romantic partners, our children, our parents, our siblings, those close to us. They have the right to say, this is my boundary too. Now, I'm not even saying that that's what happened in this particular case. I think Suzie kind of hit on it from what was described to us in this letter. Is you didn't even give the opportunity for him to say no. You automatically got afraid of it, and rightfully so, because of the trauma that you've experienced and because of how you've been wired to think. So there was something that pointed out to me where you said this is a treat that you like for yourself if it's just twice a year. Cool. Do me a favor. Set a date for yourself on your calendar for you to have this treat twice a year that you're going to make sure that you give yourself. Let's do that. Let's make sure that twice a year, come 2022, this is a special treat for you. You're going to have a date night for yourself set up. Not where you just going to go get the Bojangles and run home, but you going to sit with that Bojangles in the car or in Bojangles child, and you going to have yourself a funky good time with you and some Bojangles chicken biscuits, I don't know if it's gonna be the lunch. I don't know if it's gonna be the breakfast. Like, I love they fries. I love they biscuits. They remind me of Popeyes. Just got to put a little honey in it. I don't know. I don't know what that's gonna look like for you, but I need you to do that for yourself. And I need you to do that in many other aspects as you start listening to yourself and paying attention to your actions. I want you to wake up in the morning and look at yourself and say, what can I give myself? What do I need to feel happy? And if that means that chicken biscuit today, that's what you're going to find some time and you're going to give yourself. So you'll tell your spouse or your partner or whomever, if you have children, hey, at this time, is it cool for you to watch the kids from this time to this time because I need to do some self-care? And you go get you that Bojangles and you sit in that car and you live your best life. I literally just did that for myself. And I think I posted it on Saturday. I've been driving a lot, like 4 hours a day almost. It's just way exhausted for me right now. Like, I have no energy. And I haven't been having too much time to myself because the driving and the children and stuff. And I wanted some flat chicken wings. I didn't want the drumsticks. I just wanted the flats. And so I know when I go to KFC and Popeyes, they gonna give me a hard time. They're not gonna give me what I want. And I ain't got time for this right now because I need some self-care. I need some self-love. But see, Jewel, the grocery store, see, they make these wing things and they give you what you want, how you want it. So I went and did my grocery shopping that I needed to do anyway, for that week. And so as I did it, I also was like, and I'm gonna get those 6 wings for $2.49 because this is my cheat moment for me. And so I got those 6 wings and I bought a little bottle of jerk sauce too. And child, I sat in that car and me and that jerk sauce and them wings, we went for it, honey. We had the time of our lives, child. I couldn't talk to nobody. I had turned some music on. And I'm in the hood, okay? I'm in the hood. And I'm living my best life in the hood. And you can too. And this is where eventually we're going to talk more about finding feminine energy and how it can resonate with with women of color, particularly. Because a lot of times what we hear and what we see with feminine energy feels disingenuous, it feels phony, it feels fake. But no, it's real. Like, we can't keep going off and snapping on people, particularly men, thinking that they're going to receive it. We can't keep saying, I don't know, figure it out. You love me, you should know. And thinking that they're going to just light bulb. That's not how it works. And feminine energy is not just, life is amazing, I'm so happy. It's not. It is you getting in touch with your emotions, getting in touch with your body and saying to yourself, this is what I need in this moment, and being able to advocate for yourself in a way that you can be concise and clear and understood. And that comes from you being in touch with your feelings and your emotions. So I know I just said a lot of stuff to go all the way around the block and back, but I say it to say this was not, it is very normal for you to feel this way. I felt this way for a very long time. Culturally, we've been told that this is who we are. This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to die on the sword and we're just supposed to take it. And we're just supposed to keep giving ourselves, and we're not good mothers and good women. And that's a liar. And if anybody tells you that it's not biblical, that's when you really tell them they're a liar. And that's when you show them what Proverbs 31, what the Proverbs 31 says. Matter of fact, you show the men what Proverbs 31 said, what they supposed to be doing. And then you show the women what Proverbs 31 said, what you're supposed to be doing. And then we go back to following the 10 commandments. And then we also pay attention that thou shalt not covet is in there, which means we don't compare. We actually enjoy the life that is given to us. And then we also pay attention where he said, the second commandment that's most important is love thy neighbor as thyself. You start learning how to love yourself. And when you start learning how to love yourself, you'll start learning how to love your neighbor. But ain't nothing wrong with you on that Bojangles, child, especially if it's just twice a year.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Should I respond? I kind of wouldn't. That was so good. No, and then I think it's so unfortunately awkward for us to even like think to make that time or do things for ourselves. But then what's really cool is that how it's for others too, right? And it affects others when people see that modeled. That's when other like your girls and daughters and other women in our lives start to see like that it's possible even. And then the more that you kind of like, so have it in the calendar is a really great idea. And then so reminders to yourself, and then pretty soon there'll just be like automatic thought reminders, or you'll be more in touch with your heart space that's telling you like, it's always signaling to you, right, like what you need. And we have just been shutting it up because we don't want to cause problems, or we don't want to be too loud, and we want to make everybody happy. But in order to really do that, we have to make ourselves happy in whatever way is feasible at that time and however we need it. So yeah, that was so beautiful. Girls who are more, avoiding conflict is not prettier. Like, in order to make the world more beautiful for everyone, we need to do this.
Yeah, so good and so true. Also, my son has taught me this, and this might help a lot with your husband, is when he is doing things for you that shows you that he loves you and he does pay attention, you must pause. You must stop what you're doing and acknowledge that and feel in your body and see how it made you feel and tell him that and express it, because they are able to connect with us through how things make us feel. So if he comes in and he brings you Bojangles, don't just say thank you. Say, oh my God, you just made me feel like the most happiest girl on this planet. Like, I feel seen, I feel heard, I feel understood. I'm finna tear this up. I'm finna tear it up. I'm finna tear it up. And you just made my day. Thank you so much. Say that to him, because that right there just fills him all up. And now he needs to know, what else can I do to make her feel loved? And then he's going to keep giving you those things as he can see it. Now, don't be like, all right, he didn't do it in 3 days and now I'm getting impatient. No, no, no. Love yourself. Love yourself. But each time he does it, it will continue to encourage him to do it more. So keep that in mind too. This is not a manipulation tactic. This is literally just how feminine energy and masculine energy works. My son had a boo-boo yesterday. His bottom tooth is coming out. His top two already out. He's 6. He was playing with his cousins. They're boys. They're rough. Some kind of way blood came. Tooth still ain't out, but it was blood. So I'm taking a nap. Woke me up out my nap. Had to gargle the stuff and get it out, mom stuff. And then he noticed that he had woke me up from my sleep. I had never complained. I didn't say anything. But when he was done and he was satisfied, he took me back into the room and then tucked me in and told me, I'm sorry that I interrupted your sleep. I need you to get your full rest. So you're the best mom, because you're the best mom in the whole wide world that any boy could ever hope for. See, when you really start using this and this becomes your way of life, this is what happens. This is not no phony manipulative stuff. This is nature. And a lot of times we've been taught and we've been handling things against nature, particularly as Black women and women of color, because we're fighting against the narcissistic system and we don't even understand that we are. And it's caused so much trauma in us also. So we met with a brother actually, and we're going to start doing some collaborations with him in the near future. So you're going to start seeing our dear brother coming in, speaking to the men, and us speaking to the women. So that way we don't have to keep playing both sides and we can both just say what's happening from our own experiences. And also to my white brothers and sisters, I have my sister is ready to speak to you guys to help bring some things in place for you to understand what's happening. If you have any questions, Suzie is just an amazing wealth of knowledge. I call her the professor because she is definitely the professor. She doesn't like when I say it, but whatever. As being this anthropologist, so she is just, the woman speaks 4 languages, y'all. I'm just saying, we got a wealth of knowledge in her. Seriously, like, no, seriously, like, y'all don't understand what we got in her. I do, and I speak it. I love it. I admire it. And so she also comes with this wealth of knowledge in so many different cultures that pretty much, even if we don't agree, we understand. And if you've never had anybody that at least understand, you can speak to it and we'll stand beside you.
Cool. Yeah, everybody's experience might not be exactly the same, but there's so many similarities, especially for women in the way that we've been kind of, Okay, cool. Do you want to do the next topic or?
Okay. So, well, let me go back and see if I can find, I swear I feel like I'm an old person sometimes, the way that I am with this, Oh, she just chimed in too. That's too funny. Okay, so there was a post that I said in the following weeks, we will be sending out symptoms. If something sticks out to you, start getting help from it with a therapist. If the therapist isn't the right fit, it's okay. Find one who is, but don't stay stuck. Don't just take meds and not do the work. The issue is there you're just masking it. The work is necessary. Honestly, I personally believe many substance abuse and deep religion use it to mask the pain from trauma. It's time we start pretending that we can figure it out. If we could, I don't think we would be at the state that we are as a country and as a people. And as you heal, we will also begin discussing dating, relationships, other things we've never been taught, researched, or seen. We're having casual sex and it's hurting us because we're playing with dopamine. Look it up. And we have no idea how strong this drug is in our body, but think we don't need help. Listen, in particular, my Black sisters, over 70% of us are single moms or in a blended matter. We have been in a pandemic for years. We got to stop lying to ourselves. We can no longer pretend it away. Let's start with knowing our love language and our kids and those we love and our attachment styles to work on ourselves as we uncover so much we've stuffed about us over the years. It's okay, women, to admit it hurts here. It's okay to have the audacity to heal here, sisters and brothers. And I posted the quizzes below so you can learn something about yourself. And one of the comments was, I avoid being diagnosed. It's scary to think that there's something wrong and your mind can't handle it. Now that I can admit it, it's getting better with the work I put into it, but there's still a long way to go. And another comment said, I've reached the point where the realization I can no longer do it alone. I've taken myself as far as I can. Now I got to let someone else in. And so now they began to discuss back and forth, which is so healing. And that's actually our desire for this group. And so she said, we're the middle generation. Our parents didn't know or have help with mental health, and it wasn't talked about if something was wrong. And our children are laying the groundwork. As adults, seeing all the help, we know it's there. It's just taking us a little longer to come around. I was with my therapist for about a year, and she said I didn't trust her. If I'm not going to let her help, why spend the money? That's when I knew she meant business. Laugh out loud. But admitting we need help is huge. I definitely have something to say because I too got fired from a therapist one point, and I think that's something to add in. And then the girl responded back, I think our hesitation with help comes from when we seek help from friends or family and end up more hurt. You better preach. So we get to a point of putting big girl pants on because no one can help, right? That's the lie that we tell ourselves, all while hoping and praying that someone will walk and make it right. And she said, yep, I can't even tell you how many times I've even told myself if I had a partner, it would be easier, but it actually was harder. I didn't get myself help, and now it feels like I'm dragging this person with me. So that's why 2022, I'm not even thinking about men, and I'm committing to me. And I said, oh, thanks for being brave and saying it out loud. Come through, village. Come through and talk this out together and heal each other. Come through being one another's mirror. Suzie and I will have a conversation on this today to go deeper, and it will bring a better response. Hopefully, then I can type it on this phone with all my typos, because I know y'all be seeing my typos, and I know y'all be seeing how I talk, and I know it's funny, but just look past the typos and hear the heart. And then, as I said, she just said it as we recorded. She said you should start a live or a podcast. So I'll let her know. It'll be dropped. The link will be dropped soon. Suzie.
Yeah, wow. Amazing. So first of all, I would say that, or this is not my idea, I believe it's the truth, that healing only happens in community. So like you said, if you're taking a pill and it's not healing, it's management. It's not giving yourself what you really need. It's following the narrative and, pretending you're okay. And then with therapy, so this is like the privilege revolving door, and the fact that like coming from our communities, we might not trust the institutions that provide therapy, for example, or these kind of, normal so-called ways to look for help. So they had said diagnosis. I would say, who cares what anybody calls what you're feeling, especially these books and these doctors, like either way, even if you do align with, it's unique to you, right? And us, and there's very little in health at all that's looked at from like a gender specific, let alone culture specific on top of gender, the intersectionality. Sorry. But so don't worry so much about like, oh, I need to go get diagnosed. But if you have those symptoms, even if you can't see a therapist, even if it's for cost reasons or because you're not comfortable, of course, we recommend it if you have access to it. But you can certainly ask us, like, what are some ways to manage symptoms that don't cost anything? What are some ways, and even that have been evidence-based proven? And if those fall within your price range, and things as simple as breathing or taking a second, meditation doesn't have to look like half an hour sitting in a certain position, right? So mindfulness saved my life. Those are some of the things that we wanted to kind of extend to you that we've learned because of the privilege that we've had, because Shonda and I did get free access to all of these therapy and these recovery tools for PTSD because we're veterans. I don't know if they knew that. Yeah, and that's how we met. It was at a program for veterans. Programs like this don't exist for free for people who are not veterans, unfortunately, until we make it happen. So that's all.
Yeah, so you hit it on the head. It was so many thoughts that came to me just now. First off, we're in the works of, we don't know how this is going to look. We don't know what. We're just trusting our daddy God that we're going to start doing, we're going to write books next year. We're going to have tools because we want to make sure that things that we're saying, for one, is copywritten so people don't take it and steal it and manipulate it to hurt people. But we also want to make sure that the right information is out. But we also talked about maybe looking at doing conferences where we can team up with our good brother and he can speak to the men, we can speak to the women. And just what Sue just said, we can actually have someone lead us as a whole into mindfulness and meditation so we can learn these tools in a room together. I don't know what that's going to look like or how that's going to do. I'm going to be honest, y'all, I'm scared. I'm terrified of doing it, but I know it's necessary. But your girl is scared. I'm scared crazyless. I'm also scared because I cuss a lot. And like, I'm actually a minister that I cuss. So I'm always worried, like, God, I know that I got to do this because this is your work, but I'm nervous that I'm gonna get out here and I'm gonna cuss at the church. I'm sure he's gonna hold my mouth, but if he don't and he let one slip out, just know what they say, charge my head, not my heart. He's still working on that part. It ain't gone yet. Susie talked about some tools where you can get help in the meantime, and therapy for Black girls is one. Psychology Today is another tool where you can find therapists. And there's those that's in the Chicagoland area, there's actually a therapy group that I definitely think that we'll look into them more. And once we start doing any monetizing things, like that's actually big for us, that we want to make sure that we're pouring into these different organizations so they can continue to give the resources to the people in our communities, particularly Latino and Black communities, the help that they actually need. But honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not cool with just giving all the stuff free, because what I'm starting to learn in this process is everybody don't do well with free stuff. Like, people take advantage of free stuff and they don't realize the gift that they have before it. So be mindful that sometimes when people charge for stuff for certain conferences, don't get so upset and offended on how much they're charging for it. But understand that sometimes it's because when it's skin in the game, you'll actually take it to heart and you'll do more. Like, I have a fear that we're going to start this book club and a lot of you are going to fall off, which I hope you don't. I really want you to lean in and read these books because that's where the knowledge is. And if you can't read or you have an issue with reading, get the audio so you can listen, because I don't want you to miss out on this information that we're pouring into you guys, because it's real and we really want you guys to heal through it. So I think that's all I have with that segment, if that's okay, Sue.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So the third segment is I posted something about Susie's gonna say things sometimes that is going to offend you, men and women, and I'm gonna say things sometimes that's gonna offend you, men and women. And sometimes it's I don't want to use the word intentional because it's not like we're trying to actually cause harm to you, but we gotta tell you the truth in love so you at least know what the benchmark is of what it should look like, even if that's never happened for you before. So you'll know when you get there that this is actually normal and all the other things haven't been normal. So there was a video that I sent to Sue, and I sent to some of my other girlfriends in the tribe that we support each other privately. And it was about a couple, a Black couple that a lot of us love and look up to with their music. And I'm gonna let Sue comment first, and I will include the link. Look, she already knows. She like, Shonda, don't throw me out here, but I'm doing this intentionally. But I'm gonna let her comment first on what she saw from the video, not what we said after we clarified it, but initially what you saw, and then we'll walk through how we clarified it and we got to that, if that's okay and you feel safe with that. If you do not feel safe with that yet, Sue, we can table this conversation another day.
I'll do it as like, you know, from the top level. I won't get into so many details, but basically this couple, this woman was chasing this man for, it seemed like, years and years and years, and he was always rejecting her. And then finally, for whatever reason, he let her be with him. And then he has like, he doesn't even call her by her name, he calls her fat. And the way that when they were sitting next to each other, you could just tell with the body language, you could tell how she wouldn't say anything, and if she did say anything, he would instantly just shut her down. And I couldn't finish watching it because, and they were talking about that in their relationship, that, oh, for years and years and years she wanted me, but you know, whatever, she's whatever, but now, you know, I guess. And like, it was really heartbreaking that we ever settle for that. But it was, and because it does happen, it happens in my community as well, but then for my communities as well. So with the comments though, nobody seemed to see what I was seeing, that he was just so awful to her. Like, he really didn't care about her at all. And the stand by your man BS that she was doing, it was almost like, I don't know what their initial history was like, but it looked like a Stockholm syndrome type of situation. So in the comments though, when they were like, what a beautiful couple, she needs to write a book, she's a story of hope and inspiration, it really blew my mind. So the fact that that is to that extent normalized in the Black community was really hard to understand and be that familiar with at all, right? So I'm very intentional about making sure that like the most space is offered for like where the need is the most. And so I'm not going to push a bunch of Mexican stuff. Like, there might be a time for that and whatever, but yeah, because it's not to that level. We have our own problems, right? And whatever, but as far as this, just like, you must accept such a level of behavior. That was very unfortunate.
As I'm talking, can you do me a favor and look up the definitions of trauma bonding? Because is it okay for you to read that after I'm done speaking? Because that was the thing that you also said. I don't think you said it now, but in the comment with us and the girlfriends, you said this is trauma bonding at its finest. So, okay. So speaking from the category of Black love, they are the epitome of Black love right now in our culture, because we come from over 400 years of degradation, hurt, pain, white supremacy. And in this particular couple, not only is he coming from seeing what's happening in America, but he actually is African too, I believe, Nigerian to be specific. And so they are very straightforward with how they see things. But then let's not pretend like he hasn't experienced a lot of trauma in this country. And you'll hear him talk about it in his music. And you also hear her talk about it in her music, because she talks about being from Michigan, and her dad left her mother. Her mom was a single mother. and how she got to where she is. And so what I heard in this conversation, and what I was able to break down, to Suzie and the other sisters who are Black was able to break down as well, from explaining it from our end. Let me pause. What Suzie has just said is absolutely correct. And eventually, when we get out of the trauma, out of our system, out of our DNA, we will get to what she's saying and how she sees that relationship should be. But this is us getting to that process, okay? So because we got 400 years of trauma and 400 years of white supremacy, we do bond with each other in our traumas. We do see what our pain and our hurt is and nurture it. And we do take on, as women in particular, too much than we can handle. And some men are trying to take on and fix, like, oh, I knew she had daddy problems, but I thought I could love her beyond it. Or, oh, I knew that he had issues, I thought I could love him beyond it. Because we understand the pain that we really go through and that exists in us as a community. It's totally understandable. It's just, we gotta heal so it doesn't become the norm for our children's children. See, the goal is for our children's children to not have any trauma bonding and to be authentically and unapologetically African kids and be able to live in the resolve of who they are. And for the African girls, our daughters, our women, for them to actually know who they are, not accept scrubs or scraps, and heal those wounds. So then our brothers can actually see how it's supposed to be done and receive it as well. So I see us getting there as a people. I definitely see us getting there, but it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take baby steps for us to get there, and a lot of patience with each other. You know, I've posted, I don't know if it popped up yet, but the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan preached a message to the Black community this Saturday. And it was, he said so many nuggets. And by the way, that man is 89 years old. Cicely Tyson is his first cousin. They just got some darn good genes in their family. I'm just saying. But he said something along the lines, because where this post actually came from originally was from a Black woman who's married to a white man. Now, hear me clearly. I have a lot of close friends who are in interracial marriages. I see absolutely nothing wrong with interracial marriages. Nothing at all. Especially if you're able to be in a safe space and you're able to say and be exactly who it is that you have to be. I have one particular couple, they've been married for over 20 years, and I love to sit at their feet and just get the knowledge and the expertise and continue to see the work that they continue to do. Like, I'm so privileged to actually be a part of their lives to witness it. My concern is the girl who posted this said that she had never seen any true love in the Black community, and she was telling Black women to just leave Black men alone totally and just go find other cultures who would accept us and love us. That's throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because for her to say that she hasn't met not one healed Black man, that's concerning to me. That's like a huge self-hatred that she's having. And then a lot of us are single moms already, and we have Black boys. So you're basically telling us to go with another culture only for the intent to be loved the way that we should originally be loved, but thus sometimes running us back to the oppressor and the one who actually got us here in the first place, and not having the patience or the zeal or the understanding or the community to work together with each other as sisters, and then be patient as the brothers are doing their work, because they are. And I can't wait until you meet my brother Leon on here and hear how much work that the brothers are doing in it. Okay, I'm sorry, my alarm went off. I gotta leave in about 5 minutes myself, because I'm doing my self-care, self-love. It is my day to do my acupuncture. That's something that I do for myself. I do acupuncture, I do chiropractic care, I do massage therapy. And you know what? I'm gonna start saying this for my self-love, self-care, because if I don't do it, like, my body would not work. So really, it's my maintenance. It's my regular maintenance. It ain't even, I gotta do it or I won't make it. So I think that's pretty much what I'm trying to say in a nutshell, because I don't want to go on to preaching, but go ahead, Sue.
Do what you got to do. Okay. Definition of trauma bonding. Ready? Okay. Psychological response to abuse. The abused person forms an unhealthy bond with the person who abuses them. So I said Stockholm syndrome. That's what trauma bonding is textbook wise. You have sympathy for the abusive person, but it therefore reinforces the cycle of abuse or cycles of abuse. This reminds me of codependency in terms of their language. Codependent, see if this resonates with anyone that we might have talked about today. One person thinks their desires and needs are unimportant. We just talked about that. Extreme sacrifices for their partner. Sounds like that video that we were talking about, that relationship dynamic. Unfortunately, that's been normalized. And what that does is it makes you an enabler if you're codependent. If you're making those sacrifices and not prioritizing yourself, it's enabling bad behavior and potentially abusive behavior by your partner.
And what I want to say, sisters, is you know this stuff and you're just learning it. We're not telling you to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Brothers, we're not telling you to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We're just giving you the information so you know that, okay, now that we were here and now we got here, there's just more work that we have to do. I still view them as Black love, because to be able to change and work and see growth and do the work that they're doing for the culture, as a people with all of that stacked against them, I think that's a miracle. I think that's what we're witnessing. I think Black love is a miracle. And I think we don't understand the depthness of it really being a miracle, because we really don't understand the depthness of what we're dealing with in a narcissistic society. And I think when you really get it and you actually see that Black love exists in the midst of all of that, it's no short of a miracle for it to exist. Now, I think all love is a miracle, but I'm just saying particularly for us because of what we went through, and what we continue to go through. So I hope we ain't, we ain't make you too mad at us. But I think that it's necessary for us to have these conversations so you can start looking at what's to come, because we gonna dig, like we digging. We trying to get y'all out of the weeds in 2022. And again, you can't sue us. We're not professionals. We just girlfriends talking this out on the work that we did and where we are. Fact check us and everything. Fact check us with what works for you. Fact check us in different books and different resources and in the true history. Fact check us. We are totally fine with that. And if we need to be corrected, we will stand corrected. Correct us. Just do it in a loving way. Don't come at us attacking us, because we don't play those games. We don't play the toxic games, but we definitely take the correction if need be. And if we don't need to take the correction, we'll use it as a learning tool. If we don't need it, and we'll use it as a learning tool if we do need it, because we all held together.
Great. Cool. We love you.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.